Hello to everyone and welcome to the YouTube channel School for All. This is tutorial number 16 of our C programming training. If you are falling under this video, my advice is please watch the previous tutorials in case you have problems in C programming in general. Okay, now so here we are solving another exercise, and the aim of this exercise in fact is to practice all what we have studied so far. Meaning we have studied variable, data type, selection control structure. Like we have studied under selection control structure, we did the if statement, the if else, the multiple if else, the switch case, and so on and so forth. So now this is an exercise, this is a problem that we are having, and from all this knowledge, when I'm talking about knowledge, I'm talking about all what we have studied so far. From this knowledge, now how can you think and answer this question without any stress? So this is what I'm trying to show you in this tutorials. So start by liking the tutorial. At the end of the video, if you have enjoyed everything, leave a positive comment and make sure to share with your friends. Don't forget, School for All app is available on Play Store and App Store for more content. Now let us start. They say write a program that number one asks the user to enter a name, okay, asks for marks in 3 subjects, okay, calculate the total marks and average, okay. They say assign a grade based on the average. So these are the different grades here. A grade if your average is in the interval 90-100. Okay. B if your average is in the interval this and this. So as usual, I'm telling you that when you're answering an exercise, just answer to the question. Because another student will ask that, sir, how can an average be 90, 100, and so on? No. When you're answering a programming question, just follow instruction and you work like that. Because the aim of the program that you are writing now is just for you to have some skills in programming. You see, now after now obtaining this skill, now you'll be solving a real problem with this skill. So just try to focus on the skill that the examiner is waiting from you for that exercise is all. Now okay, and I even helping you by saying use multiple if else, even though this last sentence for me is not necessary. Now so let us start with the question. Let me just open this. So in the previous tutorial, is the program here. So I'm going to delete everything except the structure. So you remember the structure very well. So as usual, you determine the input of your program. If there's any input, then it means you must use variable. If there's any calculation, you must use also variable to store the result of the calculation. So generally, this is how we think. And as I'm always telling my students, it's not as if you must know all variable at the beginning. No. You can just start with a variable you have in mind at that particular moment. And when you are moving with the equation, if you think that you need another variable to do something, you go and declare it. That is how things work. So yeah, the first variable that I'm sure I need is what? A variable to store the name of a user, because the question started by saying that collect the name of a user. Now, generally the data type to collect name is what? Is string. But string is not existing in C programming. That is what generally we use but what? But char. So I'm going to write something like this, char name. Good. But another thing is generally char is used to collect what? A character from a user. And a name is not just a single character, but generally a name is what? Combination of characters. Good. How to obtain combination of characters? Generally we are using what we call an array, meaning what? We put a square bracket here and you just precise the number of characters your name must have. The maximum number of characters, let me say like that. So if I write 20 here, it simply means that my name should not have what? More than 20 characters. So for now, you don't need to understand how arrays work. Just master that to collect a string from a user, meaning a list of characters. This is how we are doing. So now when we reach array, I will explain this in details. Like how is this working? When I'm writing something like that, what is really happening behind? Because it's very important to understand it deeply. Now, but for now, I think this one is clear. So I'm declaring a name, because if you don't put this square bracket and a value inside, it simply means that your name is a single character. So it's like you're telling me that the name of someone can be A, or they call someone B. Is it making sense? No, it's not making sense. So you put your square bracket, you precise the size of your name. Nice. So I'm collecting names from user. I'm collecting also 3 marks for that user. Now, the marks here is very important. So here we are going to use float, because a mark can be a decimal number. So this is how you think. You think like a programmer. You see, you can still use int here, but using int is limited, because imagine that the mark of a student is 12.5. Using int simply means that you are ignoring the 0.5 to take 12. So here you use float. Now, but in the exam, if you don't think like that and it's in that is passing in your mind, just use the in. There's no problem there. They will consider it. Now, so here I'm going to say float. So let me just declare three variables: m1 for mark 1, m2 for mark 2, and m3 for mark 3. Nice. Okay. The next thing is I don't even need to think far. I can start by solving these small things here. I can start by collecting the name and the marks of student before doing something else. So let me just come here, printf. Okay, remember that to collect something you must always use a printf before a scanf. The printf is used to display the message that the user must see, so that from that message that he's seen, he knows what he's supposed to type from the keyboard. So yeah, the first thing I will say, enter your name. I put my /n, instruction n with a semicolon. Now here you put scanf. Now open like this. So there's one thing. So the format specifier now for string, because remember that you are collecting a name, and a name is what? An array of character, meaning a list of character. In this case, you are not going to put %c here. No, %c is when you are collecting a single character. So here you put the percentage what? S. So this S here means string. You see, good, very, very nice. You come here, you put comma. Now, the last time I was talking about an exception. Generally, when you're using scanf, a student will come and do this, like this. Meaning put the address symbol before putting the variable name. So remember that when you are working with strings, please never forget that when you are working with string %s, you don't put these symbols here. Just give the name of the variable you end like that. I will explain this when we'll be doing array together. So this is just the exception here. So understand it like this, the exception. But the rest, if here you are putting %c, %f, %d for scanf, make sure you put your address symbol. And the next remark I want you people to look here is, it's not because it's a string that you come here and you put name, you put also square bracket here, you put square bracket, you put 20. Zero, please. In the scanf, you just give the name of the variable, full stop. Don't come and write something beside. And it's all. Here is to collect what? A name. Very nice. The next thing is to collect what? 3 marks from the user. So here I'm going to say printf. I will just say enter 3 marks. Okay, /n. Yeah, I collect the 3 marks from the user. Scanf. Now I want to collect these 3 marks at once. So the 3 marks are what? Are float. So yeah, you just put %f, %f, %f. So remember what I said the last time, that when you're collecting 3 inputs at once, when you're writing the format specifier, there's no comma in between them, there's no space in between them. Now after this, you go out here, you put comma, then you precise now the variables that you are storing values in order. So the first thing, I want to collect mark 1. So here I'm going to put what? The address symbol, because it's a float, you put m1. Comma. Now here we are putting comma for variable. Take note of that. You put again the address now for what? For the variable m2. Comma. You put again address for the variable what? m3. And it's all good. So please don't come and write something here that you have not declared, because declare here means you have reserved space in the memory, and here you are trying to store, or let me just say you are trying to locate the space that you are reserved in the memory to store something inside. So imagine that you come and use something else here, like here you come and put capital M. It's no more the same thing. Perfect. I can run this program just to test. If I run the code, enter your name, let me just write if. Nice. Are you seeing how it's moving to the next line? It simply means that this function taking the name is working perfectly. Enter 3 marks. Normally I'm supposed to enter mark thrice. So the first time, let me just enter 4. Okay, enter. It allow 5. Enter. Nice. 7. Normally it's supposed to close. Perfect. You see, it's working normally. It means that it's taking the input and storing it normally in the memory. Nice. The next thing, and the question asks us to calculate what the total mark and the average. So here you come and declare again other variable. So you can see there are floats. You can still put it there. There's no problem. So I'm just going to declare under float. I'm going to call it total. Total. A variable called total, comma, a variable called average. Nice. Okay. Now for total, how you calculating total is very easy. So you just come here and say total equals to mark 1 plus mark 2 plus mark 3. I'm done with total. Now average, you come and say average here is equals to what? Total. So no need to come and do again m1 plus m2 plus m3 divided by 3. No, just do total divided by 3. But if I leave this program like this, it's going to work. It's going to work. Why is this program going to work? Let me just explain. Because you realize here total is float. Why is total float? Simply because the mark that we are collecting can be floats also. And you are seeing that it's possible to collect decimal number, meaning float numbers. When you sum them, the result is also a float, meaning that the result is also a decimal number. Example, imagine that mark 1 is maybe, I don't know, 4, mark 2 4, mark 3 4.5. So you are seeing that the total is going to give us what? 12.5. And total, if your total is not float, you stop at 12 and ignore the 0.5. Now, why am I mentioning that? Because generally, let me come back to the next part, average. Average is also a float. Now the question you ask yourself is, why are you declaring average float? Because you tell me that so an average can be a float since you are doing division. But don't think also that when you are declaring average float, if the result of a division is a float, you always have a float here. It's not always the case. I've explained that in my previous tutorial, that when you are doing division of two numbers, if you are expecting a decimal number as a result, or let me say, if you are expecting a float number as a result, make sure that one of these numbers are float, meaning either numerator is a float or denominator is a float. In my own case, the numerator total here is already a float. That is why it's okay. I don't stress myself. But imagine that my numerator here total was integer. In that case, at the level of this 3, you arrive at 3.0. Good. So that when you are doing your division, if your answer is maybe 12.5, the 12.5 must be stored directly in your variable average, because some students think that no, declaring average as float is okay, it's sufficient. No, take note also of your division. If you declare average as a float but your division is what? Integer numerator, integer denominator, just know that even if your answer is something with a decimal number, the decimal part will not enter in the variable average. Take note of things like that. Good. So we are done with average. The next thing is just to display them. So in this program, I'm not going to display total. Let me just display average directly. And here it's not necessary to put 3.0 because total is already a float. So here I'm just going to say printf. Now here I'm displaying what? Let me just display both total. Let me double quote, sorry. Always put your double quote when you are displaying something. When you are displaying something using printf. So yeah, I want to display something like total marks. I put 2 dots, you see. So yeah, you are the one defining the style of what you're trying to display. I want to see something like total marks, then immediately I see the mark. So the mark here is what? Is %f. And remember that when you're using %f, you can precise the number of decimal places. If you need your answer to be 2 decimal places, in between the percentage and the f, just write dot, you precise the number of decimal places. So here I want my answer to be in 2 decimal places. So I just write something like this. Now, you go out of the double quote before you write the variable that you are trying to display. So here I'm trying to display what? Total. So I write exactly total, like what is here. Now, okay. The next thing I want to display average. Nice. I can execute this program and test now. Control S, execute your code. Okay. The next thing, let us display the name also, the name of the student. Let me just display something like printf. I will display something like my name is. Then after this, I want to see the name of the student. So yeah, put what? %s. Don't forget, because the name here is a string, comma, you put the variable what? Name, semicolon. Nice. Control S. You run the code now. So yeah, let us enter the name should be if. The mark, let us enter 12. Let us enter 10. And let us enter maybe 12 again. Normally the total here should give us what? 24, 34. It should give us 34. Let us check. It's not really beautiful because I'm forgetting to put /n. So at the end of each printf, you put /n so that normally they should appear on different lines like this. Even this last one, I'm putting /n because there are other printf I will use under him. So I don't want someone to follow him. Okay, so here enter your name. I enter if. You mark maybe 12, 10 as we said, and 12. Nice. My name is, are you seeing how if appearing here? Very nice. Total here 34.00. Yeah, you are seeing that 00 because total was a float number. So that's why even if there is no decimal part, you just put in .00, and you realize here is what, so two decimal places. Average. Nice. Now the question said something very interesting, that assign a grade based on the average. Now I've realized something here. If you are entering these marks on 20, it will be impossible to have an average more than 20. And if an average is not more than 20, it simply means that all these conditions will be false, and we are going to display only what? F, you see. Even though I told you just a question, you can just do it like that directly. Okay, no problem. Let us do it like that. But after that, we can take another situation where we are entering our mark on 100. Yes. So that we are sure that we can have average in that. We can have average in this range, in fact. See. So yeah, let us consider even that the mark can enter on 100. It's better. Okay, let us start solving this. So here I cannot use a switch case. Why? Because normally with a switch case, what happens here is we are taking the content of a variable and we are comparing equality with some values. But since here the values are in an interval, it's not more possible to do so. So here you use but if else, so that you'll be using what? Your comparators to do so. So how to do it? Let me just come here. Here I'm going to say if in bracket average is greater than or equal to 100, and generally this is how you write the and here, and you put this symbol twice. This is the and, so this is not the first time you are doing it. And average is what? Less than or equal to 90. What are you doing? So it's all this my interval here. Yeah, I even did a mistake, please. If the mark here I'm putting but 90. Good. Here I'm putting 100. Generally, when you're writing code, this is how you're doing it. You're testing. I've realized that I did a mistake here. Why? Because when I say if average is greater than or equals to 100, it means that you can have something like 101 is greater than this, 102 is greater than this. So it's a problem already. Good. And generally, the average that we'll be entering, that we'll be having in fact will be less than 100. If you enter something like, let us say 99, you test, is 99 greater than 90? Yes. And is 99 less than 100? Less than or equals to 100? Yes, and so on. So I hope you are seeing how this interval works. If you enter something like 80, is 80 greater than 90? No, it's already going. Remember that here this is the and the and is saying that the left part and the right part must be true for all the conditions to become true. Nice. So generally this is how you are doing so. And here what did the equation say? Let me just declare a variable called grade here so that I don't repeat multiple printf. Grade char. It should be a char grade, or is it char? Okay. So here this grade should take what? A single quote because it's a character. Don't forget. Now for string we are no more putting single quote. Imagine that grade here is a string. In that case you put the, this is what you do for string. You put the double quote before writing inside. So I think this is not the first time I'm showing this. So I put what? A. Good. Now you go here, you write else if is not joined, because this is a mistake some students are doing. They write their else if like that and they have errors. I'm seeing this every day. So you write your else before you write if beside. Now the next interval is what? The next interval they say 80 to 89 is B grade. 80 to 89 B grade. You cannot really do all the intervals here. I will leave the other interval as exercise for you. They say 80 to 89. So here simply means I'm comparing if average is greater than or equals to what? To 80, and average is what? Less than or equals to 80, 89. It's all. So this is your interval. In this case, what are you displaying? You are displaying B grade. So you just continue with your if for the different condition. For the different conditions. So yeah, let me just assume that I'm done with all these conditions. Remember that when you're using multiple if else, or by the moment you're already using an if else, you must always have a last else here. See, and generally the last else that we are precising here is what is to be displayed when the previous conditions are wrong. And if the previous conditions are wrong, normally I want to display what? I want to display F. F grade. Good, this is what we said. Now under here, let us write our printf now. Printf. So similar to what we did in the previous tutorial. So I'm going to put what here, percentage C dash grade. Nice, you put here comma grade. Perfect. I think everything is working perfectly. Nice. So we can run this code. So any question, please just drop a comment. I will reply to you. So here we said we are entering a mark on 100. So the first mark, let me say 50. I did a mistake, please. I'm to enter the name first. So let me just run it again. Enter your name. Let me just enter Polar. Mark, let us say the first subject you have 50, the other you have maybe 60, the next you have maybe, I don't know, 40, 49, 40, something like that. Okay. So yeah, you have what? My name is Polar. Total mark, average is what? 50, and it's displaying F grade. I think it's normal because it's coming here. Average is 50. Is 50 greater than or equals to 90? False. By the moment one person is false already, the next is not verified. So you're just going directly to the next. You come here 50. Is 50 greater than or equals to 80? No, you go out directly. And since there is no other condition, it's just displaying what is inside what? The else. And what is inside the else is what? Grade takes F. You see now, and it's that F that we are displaying here. Very nice. Let us run this for the last time. Let me just enter the name Polar. The mark, let me just enter now something like 70, 80, maybe 90. Good. This time around the average is giving us what? 80. And you see that here I have big grade. I think it's normal. Because the first condition is 80 greater than or equals to 90. No, it's not entering there. Go to the next. Is 80 greater than or equals to 80? Yes, it enters here. Good. So you have seen that any mark greater than or equals to 0 but less than or equals to 80 now will fall under this ring, and we are doing this and so on and so forth. I think I'm very clear. So please, you're supposed to be able to think and write this type of program without any problem. Because this type of question is helping you to reason. Because the type of question that you'll be having in the exam are questions that you're supposed to reason on. This is how things work in C programming, especially for computer science students. I'm always precise in that. So in the next tutorial, we are going to carry out another exercise before we move to the next concept, which is loops in C programming. So if you enjoy everything, like the tutorial, leave a comment. Bye bye.